6.4 million years ago, the Earth was a place of both beauty and danger. Vast grasslands stretched endlessly beneath golden skies. Forests rose thick with life, and rivers carved paths of survival across ancient landscapes. It was a world teeming with predators. Saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, and enormous mammals that no longer exist today. But it was also a world where a new kind of creature was beginning to emerge. A creature that would one day call itself human. These early people did not yet look like us. Their bodies were covered in thick, dark hair. Their brows were heavy and pronounced. Their jaws strong and protruding. Their noses broad and flat. Their arms were long and muscular. Their torsos scarred from battles with the wild. They walked upright, but often hunched, straddling the line between animal instinct and human awareness. They were both familiar and alien. The ancestors of humanity, surviving in a world that offered no mercy. Daily survival was their only concern. From the moment dawn lit the horizon until the last glow of fire faded at night, every action they took was directed toward one purpose: to stay alive. These people did not farm. They did not build permanent homes, and they did not write or speak in words as we do now. Instead, they hunted and gathered. They moved with the seasons, and they relied on memory, instinct, and the growing bond of the group. Fire was at the heart of their survival. For countless generations, lightning had set forests ablaze, leaving behind glowing embers. These early humans learned to guard those embers, carrying them carefully from place to place. Around fire, the tribe gathered. It gave them warmth against the bitter cold of night. It kept predators at bay. It transformed raw meat into nourishing meals. But fire was more than a tool. It was a symbol. In the flickering glow of flames, something changed. The tribe became more than a pack of survivors. They became a community. When the fire burned, they told their stories. Not in words, but in gestures, in cries, and the rhythmic beating of hands on chests. They mimicked the hunt. They relived battles against beasts. They celebrated victory, and they mourned loss. Fire gave them not only survival, but meaning. The hunt was both the greatest danger and the greatest necessity. It required cunning, courage, and strength. When the time came, the men and women prepared together. Their hairy bodies glistened with sweat under the midday sun as they stalked
In the bright midday
across
sun, the
savannah.
warthog continues to dig and sniff at it.
Their
The beast lets
long
out a shrill
arms
squeal and
clutched
thrashes wildly,
wooden
knocking the weapon
spears
aside.
hardened in fire, crude but deadly in numbers. They moved low to the ground, shoulders hunched, muscles tense, eyes fixed on the herd ahead. Antelope grazed in the distance, unaware of the danger approaching. The hunters fanned out, forming a crescent around the animals. Communication was not spoken, but felt. A grunt, a gesture, a glance. One hunter raised his hand, signaling readiness. Another circled wide, moving like a shadow through tall grass. Then came the charge. Dust exploded under pounding feet. The hunters roared, a chorus of guttural cries that shook the herd into panic. Spears flew through the air. One struck an antelope's side, sending it staggering. The chase began, relentless and brutal. These early humans could not outrun their prey, but they could outlast it. Endurance was their weapon. Mile after mile, they pursued the wounded animal, their hairy bodies moving with a rhythm born of desperation. Sweat poured down their scarred skin, but they did not stop. Slowly, the antelope weakened. Its breath came in ragged gasps. Its legs faltered. And when it finally stumbled, the hunters were there. Spears struck again, this time with precision. The kill was quick, but the silence that followed was sacred. The hunters stood over their prey, chests heaving, eyes glinting in the harsh sun. One placed his hand on the animal's side, feeling the final warmth fade. For them, this was survival. Life taken so life could continue. The carcass was carried back to camp. Children ran to greet the hunters, eyes wide with hunger and excitement. The tribe gathered around the fire as the meat was cooked, smoke curling into the sky. Grease shone on hairy chests and faces as they tore into the meal, each bite a victory over death. But hunts were not always successful. Sometimes the prey escaped. Sometimes predators claimed the kill. Sometimes hunters did not return. Each loss was felt deeply. Around the fire, they mourned. They howled into the night, beating their chests, their cries carrying across the plains. In grief, they revealed something greater than instinct. They revealed love. The Earth of 1 million years ago was not constant. It shifted, turned, and tested life with the cycle of seasons. For the people of that time, survival meant more than just hunting and gathering. It meant enduring the fury of nature itself. Winter was the coolest season. The sun sank low. The winds sharpened, and snow covered the land in silence. Hairy bodies huddled close, wrapped in animal hides, their breath rising in pale clouds. Children whimpered in the cold, their small frames shaking as mothers held them tightly. The fire became not just warmth, but life itself. Frost-bitten fingers cracked and bled as they worked to keep flames alive. They gathered branches. They blew
Our
on
little one will be strong like you.
embers until their
And gentle
lungs
like the morning sun.
ached. They shielded sparks from the howling wind. Firelight flickered across faces heavy with struggle, jaws clenched against hunger. Prey was scarce. Herds had migrated to warmer lands, leaving behind only bones and shadows. The people turned to scavenging, gnawing on old hides, cracking bones for marrow, digging beneath snow for roots. Their hairy forms grew gaunt, their eyes hollow with starvation, but still they endured. When the ice finally melted, the world awakened. Rivers swelled with rushing water, meadows bloomed with green, and herds returned to graze. For the hairy tribe, spring was salvation. Women gathered berries until their hands were stained red with juice. Children splashed in streams, their wild hair dripping with water, their laughter carrying across valleys. Men sharpened their spears with renewed strength, their scarred bodies regaining muscle as fresh meat returned to their fires. Spring was also a time of birth. Infants were born beneath the shade of trees, their cries sharp and fragile. Mothers nursed them with care, while the tribe formed a protective circle. In every newborn, they saw the continuation of their story. Life, fragile and precious, marched forward. But spring's abundance gave way to summer's trial. The heat was relentless. The sun beat down on hairy backs. Sweat drenched their bodies, and the ground cracked with thirst. Water was scarce. Rivers shrank to muddy trickles. The tribe moved constantly, carrying bundles of food and tools across endless plains in search of water. Children cried from thirst. Hunters collapsed beneath the sun, their heavy brows dripping with sweat, their rough skin blistering. Predators thrived in this season. Lions stalked weakened herds. Hyenas circled scavengers, and the people themselves became prey if they strayed too far. At night,
Almost there. Careful now.
the air
Easy.
shimmered with heat, even as they gathered around fire. Survival was measured not in hunts, but in endurance. When autumn arrived, it brought both promise and peril. The forests filled with fruits, nuts, and game. But predators too grew bold, preparing for the lean months ahead. 1,000,000 years ago, autumn was a season of conflict. The hairy tribe moved through golden forests. their scarred hands filled with gathered food, their long arms gripping spears for protection. They hunted deer, ambushed small animals, and filled their baskets with roots. But danger lurked in every shadow. Saber-toothed cats crouched among fallen leaves, their eyes glinting in shafts of golden light. Bears rose on hind legs, roaring their claim over food and territory. In such encounters,
The light returns, my love.
survival demanded
A new day
unity.
begins for us, and for the
When
life you carry.
predators attacked, the tribe fought as one. Spears thrust forward, cries echoed, hairy bodies surged in motion. The forest became a battlefield of muscle, tooth, and fire. Every victory was hard won. Every scar was a memory. Survival was not only about strength, it was about innovation. 1,000,000 years ago, the hairy men and women who roamed the earth began shaping their world with stone. At first, they scavenged sharp rocks broken by nature. But slowly, through trial and error, they discovered that stone could be shaped by hand. A hairy figure, his heavy brow furrowed in concentration, struck one stone against another. Sparks flew, shards scattered. A new edge emerged, sharper, stronger, more purposeful than any claw or tooth. Stone became the first extension of human will. With it, they cut through hide, sliced meat, and scraped bark. They cracked bones to drink marrow, their hairy arms glistening with grease as they sucked the last drops of nourishment. The tools were crude, but they worked. And with every chip of stone, the tribe learned control. Imagine the moment. A hairy woman, scarred across her chest, lifts a freshly chipped blade to the sunlight. The edge glitters. Her wide nose flares. Her jaw tightens in satisfaction. For the first time, survival was not left to chance. The people had made something. They had shaped nature into an ally. Fire had long been borrowed from nature, carried from lightning-struck trees, guarded through storm and rain. But now, humans uprooted 1 million years ago began to make it themselves. A hairy man kneels in the dark, crouched over dry grass. His hands, scarred and calloused, grind sticks together. Sweat drips into his tangled beard as his broad shoulders heave with effort. Hours pass. At last, a spark glows. Smoke curls upward. An ember is born. The tribe gathers close. Their animal-like faces, heavy brows, protruding jaws, eyes glinting in firelight, watch in silence. The ember grows, then flares into flame. A roar erupts, not of fear but triumph. Fire is no longer borrowed. It is theirs. This mastery changed everything. Raw meat became roasted, easier to chew, easier to digest. Bellies grew fuller, bodies grew stronger. The night was no longer ruled by predators. Saber-toothed cats, once bold, stayed in the shadows, their glowing eyes reflecting the tribe's flames. Fire became weapon, shield, and symbol. Words as we know them did not yet exist, but communication had begun. At first it was sound, a grunt, a cry, a rhythm of noises. A warning grunt meant danger. A rising howl signaled the hunt. A soft hum calmed children in the night. The hairy people of 1 million years ago used sound with purpose. Each note a building block of language. Gestures filled the silence. Long, hairy arms pointed toward prey, waved to signal approach, pounded chests to show dominance. Over time, these gestures gained shared meaning. What was once instinct became intention. Imagine the hunt. A leader, his broad jaw clenched, lifts his hairy arm and swings it in an arc. The tribe understands. Spears rise. The charge begins. This was not coincidence. This was communication. And in the stillness of night, sound shifted again. Around fire, they began to mimic. They imitated the roar of lions, the grunt of boars, the cry of eagles. Their children copied them, laughter rising in primitive joy. Over time, imitation turned to expression. communication became memory. Memory became teaching. In the flickering caves of 1 million years ago, something extraordinary happened. A hairy figure dipped a charred stick into ash and pressed it against stone. A line appeared, then another. Slowly, shapes formed, the crude outline of an animal. A bison, a lion, a mammoth. The fire crackled, casting light on the wall as others gathered. Their wide noses flared, their heavy brows lowered in awe. For the first time, humans had painted their world. These were not decorations. They were symbols. They carried meaning beyond the moment. Perhaps they honored prey. Perhaps they prepared for the hunt. Perhaps they tried to hold on to memory. Whatever the reason, the act itself revealed transformation. Hairy, animal-like bodies had created something not required for survival, but for expression. Rituals grew around fire. After the hunt, they raised their spears, voices rising in guttural rhythm. They stamped the ground, their hairy legs pounding the earth. They mimicked the chase, the kill, the struggle. This was not instinct. It was theater. They remembered together, celebrated together, mourned together. 1 million years ago, under a canopy of stars, humans looked upward. They did not know the heavens, but they felt their pull. Around the fire, they howled at the moon, their cries echoing across valleys. Perhaps it was fear. Perhaps it was worship. Whatever it was, it marked the beginning of belief. As the seasons turned once more, the hairy tribe prepared for a great hunt. Hunger drove them forward, and unity held them together. They gathered at the edge of the grasslands, hairy bodies tense with anticipation. Their primitive faces, broad noses, heavy brows, scarred skin, glistened with sweat under the sun. Wooden spears were gripped in rough hands, sharpened with stone edges. Children were hidden safely with the women, who stood guard near the fire, watching anxiously. Ahead, a herd of giant buffalo grazed. The prey was enormous, stronger than any single hunter. But the tribe had learned something greater than strength. They had learned cooperation. With a guttural cry, the leader gave the signal. The hunters fanned out in formation, their hairy arms raised. Dust swirled as they advanced, their cries echoing like thunder. The buffalo charged, horns low, eyes wide with rage. The ground shook with its power, but the hunters did not falter. They moved as one. Spears flew. One struck deep into the animal's side. Another pierced its neck. The beast stumbled, bellowing in pain, before collapsing in a storm of dust. The tribe swarmed forward, finishing the kill quickly. For the first time, the hunt had not been a chaotic rush of instinct. It had been organized. It had been planned. This was more than survival. It was the dawn of strategy. After the hunt, the tribe gathered together. Meat roasted over flames, smoke rising into the evening sky. Children clapped their small hands, their tangled hair shining in firelight. Women sang low chants, their heavy jaws swaying as they rocked infants in their arms. Men shared stories in grunts and gestures, reenacting the hunt with stamping feet and pounding chests. In the circle of firelight, the hairy tribe became more than a group of survivors. They became a family. Each scar told a story. Each life was tied to the others. The death of one was felt by all, and the survival of all depended on each one. Here, in this bond, lay the heart of humanity. From the ashes of fire and the marks of stone, the hairy people of 1 million years ago carried forward the seeds of change. They were still animal-like, their bodies thick with hair, their brows heavy, their jaws strong, but within them flickered something eternal. They began to dream. Their cave paintings showed not only animals, but visions. Their rituals reflected not only memory, but hope. Their gestures, their cries, their songs began to form the first echoes of language. They looked at their children differently. No longer just mouths to feed. The young became carriers of knowledge. Lessons were passed down. How to strike stone. How to spark fire. How to track prey. With each generation, humanity grew stronger. This was not yet civilization. They had no villages, no crops, no written words. But in their hairy bodies lived the spirit of survival. And in their awakening minds lived the promise of all that would come. The earth has changed since then. Forests have vanished. Rivers have shifted. Beasts have gone extinct. But the memory of those hairy, scarred figures of 1 million years ago lives on. Not in stone, not in fire, but in us. Every breath we take carries their endurance. Every tool we hold is born from their first chipped stones. Every word we speak is an echo of their first cries. Every story we tell is rooted in the flickering shadows of their fire. They were not perfect. They were not yet fully human, but they were enough. Enough to endure. Enough to adapt. Enough to begin. 1 million years ago, survival was life itself. And in that survival, in every scar, every fire, every ritual, the dawn of humanity was born.